try to spread it.
Sure. I think we're live anyway.
Yeah, we went live as Marty was saying. I'm going to try and spread it.
At least I didn't say spread them.
Yeah.
And I'll just actually. And on that, speaking of spreading, welcome to our show on. Well, we're going to be discussing viruses.
Yes.
Awesome.
Hooray.
So we have a usual panel today. Just sending links and can't think and do at the same time. So, and in an unusual move, I am hosting today, which is...
bye.
And nobody would blame you. So I'll just go around the panel. So we have Marty.
Hi.
Micro.
Hello.
How you doing? Cal.
All right.
And we have actually a friend of the show, Brian, from Bryony's Mind on YouTube. I think he's on YouTube.
Yeah. Sparingly.
Who's also another Irish person.
God, they're everywhere.
Yeah, we're spreading like a... Oh, wait, no.
Wildfire.
Demonetized.
Don't say the word. Don't say the word.
Spreading like a certain brand of beer. Let's just put it that way.
Just use wildfire. It works. It's an actual phrase.
Oh. Well, we insulted Greenland plenty last show, so Ireland is able to show to it now. Take it away, Kitch.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just trying to see if I can get the live chat up, but I think it already comes up for me. So anyway, today's show is going to be on viruses, what they are, what they do, and how we use them. So if you want to ask any questions at any time, just put it into chat. We'll answer as soon as we can. And if you want to call in, you can call in as well to ask a question or to contribute to the conversation. So where to begin on viruses?
I guess what they are might be a really good place to start.
Yep, a very good place to start. So viruses are
weird.
Yeah, are they not alive? That is one of the questions in biology. Most biologists will not consider them alive because they are outside of infecting a host. They don't do anything that would a normal live cell could do. So they can't metabolize by themselves. They can't do anything really by themselves except exist. They're the most basic of life. They're just a piece of genetic material, either DNA or RNA, surrounded in a protein capsid.
So they're little ball of proteins with some kind of genetic material in the middle, and sometimes a membrane that they've stolen.
Yep. The main thing is that genetic material. The protein just keeps the genetic material from being damaged.
Yes.
So the genetic material is what gets into the cell and causes all the mayhem. Basically, shuts down the cell and just causes the cell to produce more virus until the cell dies.
Yay! I mean, wait, who are we rooting for? Are we rooting for the virus or the other thing?
Depends on what it's infecting.
Plague Inc.
Yeah. If
it's infecting a certain orange asshole, then I'm rooting for the virus.
It could infect the asshole, the brain. I mean, any part of it.
Especially good pals in Greenland again.
If it infected the brain, I don't think there'd be enough there for it to survive. So yeah, definitely go right for the asshole.
Yeah. But on that, viruses can affect pretty much any living cell on this planet.
Even other viruses.
Yeah, which is really weird.
So are viruses cells? They're not, right? Viruses aren't cells, though, right? They're just
They don't have they
pieces of genetic code or something.
Yes, they're some of them are quite close to looking kind of like a cell. There are some like megaviruses or like giant viruses. Some of which are actually bigger than some bacteria.
They're found in the ocean.
Wait. Are you saying there is some realism to that Voyager episode where Janeway fights a virus that acts like a bacteria but is, well,
no, it still acts
human,
like
but
the big virus still acts like vira. They're just very big.
Yeah.
So vira or not, it's not a like it's a classification, but it's not like a uniform family. They're quite diverse, and they might not even all have the same ancestor or the same origin. Yeah. We don't actually know where they come from.
Yeah, they may have been viruses. It
seems like something that's so simple that it could have evolved separately.
Yeah, but there's also the question of, did it start from something simpler and become slightly more complex, or did it start from something complex and then become super simple? Which is an ongoing, thing.
Yeah.
Like an ongoing question. There, it's referred to as, if I remember correctly, the regressive hypothesis, or the cellular origin hypothesis, and then there's also a co-evolution hypothesis. They're basically they're all different ideas of how vira may have evolved and what their origin are, and they might all be true at the same time for different groups.
Yeah.
But no, they're not cells.
No.
The closest you will get is the fact that they can have a cell membrane that they stole from the thing that they infected.
Yep, and that helps them, as far as I know, that helps them hide from the immune system. One thing, makes them harder to detect, as far as I know, with the outer membrane, but then it also means that they're easier to kill. They're more hardy. They're less hardy in the environment. So it's a trade-off.
You can destroy, it's a lot easier to just destroy that fat membrane than it is to destroy the proteins.
So what you're saying is, when the virus assimilates itself into a collective or a group, it loses its individuality and then also its self-worth. Is that what I'm getting from that?
Borg reference.
Yeah.
I need to watch more Star Trek.
Nerd.
Yeah. Well, I need to watch every Star Trek episode now that I'm in quarantine, apart from Voyager, because I've been told to avoid Voyager.
Voyager and Enterprise, yeah.
I've used up all my references now anyway, so that's me tapped up.
Oh, I have way too many.
Khan. That's my only reference. Yeah. But
yeah, just stay away from Voyager.
And that was our podcast on why Voyager sucks. What were we talking about again?
Well, you do have to watch Threshold, though. That's so bad it's good.
Is that the one with the DNA?
I
remember one with DNA.
That's the one where they travel so fast that they can be everywhere in the universe at the same time, and that causes you to evolve into a salamander.
I knew it.
And if you think that sounds stupid, just watch the episode. It gets worse.
I have several questions.
You won't get answers.
I was kind of expecting.
I have several questions, all of which I do really not want the answer to because I'm not high enough.
Yeah, that's true. Jordan could have written it.
Oh, yeah. That'd be interesting. I'd pay to see an episode.
Yeah. It get drunk and watch it. It is so bad it's good.
On the list. But are there actually any episodes of Star Trek where they actually do deal with a virus?
Several, but I can't. I don't know enough about the subject to be able to say which ones are realistic and which ones. I think most of the time they just, oh, it's a disease. Yeah, it's a virus. And that's basically it.
Space AIDS.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it's usually some really exaggerated symptom they have. Like,
oh yeah.
One that springs to mind is Deep Space Nine, the euphasia virus.
Yeah, that's a fun one. But on the other hand, in fairness, that one was engineered.
Yeah.
Unlike this current one, which is not engineered.
Yes.
That still keeps on coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like viruses in reality they sort of all have very similar symptoms in some respects anyway. I mean they all, you get a fever and you get sore throat.
That's because
humans react that way to.
Yeah, that's our immune systems.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas in Star Trek, you can have a virus that does something very specific, like you mentioned, Cal, the aphasia virus. It messes with the neural pathways in the brain that causes you to develop aphasia. But that's it. Doesn't do anything else to you, I think. No, wait. They do get sick as well, right? It's been a while since I saw that one.
I mean, there are.
Is that even possible in principle that a virus could have some effect that's that specific, keeping in mind that one was engineered?
I mean, theoretically, you might be able to do that if you could find a way to target that part of the brain specifically. Which,
if you have Star Trek technology.
Yeah, like it all depends on if you have a way to actually specifically target those cells.
Yeah.
Without
there's something unique about them.
System.
Yeah. So you're saying there's hope that I actually might be able to understand half of what you are talking about if I get a virus and you can target the part of my brain. So there's hope. Because I'm coming into this after having conversations with Michael for years, and I just smile and nod and go, "That's great, that's brilliant. Want another beer?" So
I'm still waiting on that beer, by the way.
I'm still waiting to understand what the hell you were talking about.
So actually, that brings up a good point. So one of the things about viruses or vira or whatever, I keep switching between the both. Both are technically correct, both plurals. So one of the things about them using the current one as an example is that because they're dependent on our host cell to replicate themselves, they need to get into that host cell. And that's where a lot of their specificity comes from, what they can infect. So for example, this current one uses one of the proteins on its surface to attach to a receptor called ACE2, which is only found in certain tissue. That's why it infects those tissues specifically.
Yeah,
is that why people are panic buying toilet tissue? They got confused.
No,
it makes sense now. Buy more toilet tissue. That's what I have to do.
I don't think toilet paper expresses that protein. I haven't looked at the proteomics of it, but it also changed.
Proteomics of toilet paper. I'm getting that in a t-shirt.
I'm reminded of the hate mail I got. It's still one of my favorites. This guy is so full of shit. Kleenex is sponsoring his videos. And my response was, dude, I wipe my ass with toilet paper.
Yeah. Who the fuck uses Kleenex?
Who wipes his ass with Kleenex?
Well, if you have a sponsorship with Kleenex, you'll wipe it with everything.
Yeah, true.
Only the finest Kleenex for my bottom. And just like that, we've been demonetized.
Like we
Somehow.
already.
Yeah, that was the thing that got us demonetized. But just on that, actually, so these receptors on the protein on the cell surface. So basically, the cell can't see what's going on, but it needs some way to respond to its environment. So it sends out these receptors that kind of just basically feel around the environment and try to get an idea about what's going on and respond accordingly. This virus basically binds to these chemicals, these compounds that are on the cell surface, or called proteins, and that tricks the cell into taking the virus in. And then that's when the virus DNA gets released, and all hell breaks loose then, with the virus just getting copied 1,000 times. Because the DNA contains instructions to make more virus. And the cell gets tricked into making more virus because it's thinking, hey, this is an instruction that's coming from my own genome. This is the instruction that I have to do for my own natural.
So cells are pretty stupid. They're very easy to trick.
Yeah. Thank God too. It makes engineering them a lot easier.
They're also big babies in culture, but that's another issue entirely.
I mean, they're just trying their best. I mean, I don't know why I have to pick on the cells. You know, the basis of all
you
human
haven't
life.
had to work with them.
I think they're doing a great job. I'm sticking up for you, cells. I believe in you. Considering the fact I kind of feel like the cell right now, so I'm going to stick up with them. I'm siding with the cells at the moment until I hear otherwise.
Apart from the tumor cell lines, they can go fuck themselves. Well, if they get into your body, they cause cancer.
Yeah. But they are.
Well, I have a key in my pocket that goes to a little locker at work where we keep radioactive stuff. So I'm sure I can get you some cancer cells if you want. So.
No, they're quite easy. They're some of the most common cell lines in existence.
Mm.
I mean, the person in history who has had the most mass of her body is because she has a cancer cell line that comes from her that's used. Oh. So it's been cut. So she's had several tons of her exist over decades.
Wow.
Because it keeps getting copied.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we also kind of sort of did it without her consent because racism.
Yeah. But is that when a tumor starts duplicating like that? I mean, does it do anything other than just duplicate? I mean, tumors don't actually do anything else, do they? It's not that they themselves cause harm. The harm is caused by the fact that the tumor is eating tissue, right?
Yeah, it's caused by their invasion that it affected it. That it usually ends up going somewhere where it shouldn't go.
Yeah. Yeah. So like for example, prostate cancer cells, as they become more and more tumor cell-like, they lose their ability to express a protein known as prostate-specific antigen. Now, the name doesn't really matter much, but it's an antibacterial, antimicrobial protein that's found in sperm or the ejaculate. And that's how we can detect it in prostate. That's how we can detect prostate cancer by its leakage into blood. We could just take a blood test and detect elevated levels. That's something completely different. But as that cancer cell becomes more cancer-like, or progresses down towards that
state,
cancer state, or becomes less differentiated.
Less specialized.
Okay.
It loses its ability.
So it's like tumors are like just basic cells.
Yeah, they're very well, like the best analogy is really zombies because they become primitive and have one goal.
Yeah.
And they're also kind of diseased and fucked up.
Cool. Oh, we have an audience.
Hey.
Someone's chatting.
So, how long does it take the virus to survive on different surfaces? I hear a suggestion of 3 days on plastic, steel surfaces, 24. Is that true?
as far as I'm aware, that's still sort of ongoing. It's also going to depend on the conditions, because what ends up killing it when it's on a surface is that it dries out. And when it dries out, then there's no water left. There's obviously no the fat bubble, the lipid layer on its envelope, as it's called, is the structure of that is dependent on the fact that there's water, because it's hydrophobicity.
And that outer membrane contains the key to get into your cells. If it doesn't have that outer membrane, it can't affect you. So it's basically dead or inactive.
So
Dead.
Do I need to have my house completely dry, or do I have to get a super soaker out and soak this bitch?
Well, neither, but the first one would be the correct.
Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna get a hair dryer and run around my house after this. Fantastic.
But if that's something that confuses me. Are viruses alive? That's questionable, but apparently it can be killed.
Yeah,
So isn't it the case that killed is just it's better to say
inactivate?
Destroyed?
Yeah. It's the same way like a star can die. Basically, it's a human. It's just like that's just how language works. I mean, there are
because it doesn't have metabolism.
No.
Right.
It's
only quote unquote alive when it's actually inside your cell.
Yeah,
okay.
It's somewhere like it's in between, like it's on the alive scale, it's in between like a cat at one end that's very much alive and a rock at the other end, which is very much not alive. It's sort of in the middle.
Yeah.
So in terms of the different surfaces, like steel and plastic, I would think wouldn't have as much kind of natural kind of fat in them as opposed to like cardboard, which is a natural material. So would the virus last longer on quote like
there's a lot of variables in it. Also like there's the fact that if it's on a metal surface,
metals or inactivating to microorganisms.
Yeah, there's a lot of like there's reason like for example if you have copper door handles, there's gonna be less vira and bacteria on it because copper is active in a lot of biological like processes, so it fucks it up. That's why the same like it's gonna depend on a lot of things, but it's not like the people who are like, oh no, I bought something from China. Like you're not gonna your packages is on the way for far too long for you to get infected by it.
Yeah, that was actually
ordering something through Wish takes like 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Wish is good for something.
No.
You get a shit product, but it doesn't have a virus on it.
Hooray.
Well, that depends on what you buy. If it might have computer virus.
True.
I got like a load of. Actually, I got Brian's birthday present on Wish. Happy birthday, Brian!
Unfriended.
That's that. I have a computer virus now. Great, my pacemaker's fucked. That's why I've been having heart palpitations. That's fantastic.
I thought it was because of the excessive amount of coffee you drink. Oh wait, that's me. I'm projecting again. Currently,
it's Pepsi Max Cherry for that great Pepsi Max taste now with a hint of cherry.
Hashtag not sponsored. For balance, Pepsi sucks.
Yes.
Drink
Coke.
Just keep it safe and drink beer.
Good point.
Play really safe. Drink whiskey.
True.
You mean popcorn?
So
the fridge. Okay, so the fridge is a place where the virus can survive for long time. Not like a long time. Like I don't think it's gonna make any meaningful difference.
If it's in a liquid, yes, but not too much longer.
Yeah, in
Like,
general, biological things survive slightly longer if they're cold. That's why the fridge is used in the first place. But like, it's not gonna matter.
What if you got the virus in a yogurt? Like
Then
a,
it's
like a,
gonna
like in
die.
in Activia. That has loads of smart things in it, apparently, according to the ad.
Well, it has a bacterial culture in it, so the virus is just probably gonna get eaten by the bacteria.
So it's kind of like fighting a fire with fire situation. We have to fight their bacteria with our bacteria.
No.
So don't go around the house spitting on everything to clean it. Okay, good.
No, that just spreads if you have it.
So that's why I got sick.
Oh, okay. That's making a lot of sense now.
I have medical bills with your name on them. But yeah, it can probably survive longer at 4 degrees. I know for terms of storing it in now this is in pristine conditions, but it can survive a couple of days in virus medium. So that's medium broth that's suitable to keep the virus alive, and it'll last longer at 4 degrees than it will at 22 degrees. Now, if it's on a solid surface, that probably is going to change. So, like, for example, if it's on salads or lettuce or any of the fruits that you guys might like to eat, it'll last longer at 4 degrees. How much longer, I don't know, but it should be good practice anyway, just to wash it, because people also carry other things on their hands that may or may not be good for you anyway, and it doesn't have to be COVID-19. Oh, fuck.
Demonetized.
I'm pretty sure saying the word virus is enough.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Wait, we don't actually make any money from this. What are they gonna do? Charge us? Cut our budget?
But like, there is this. Like, let's see, what other topic about viruses can we talk about?
Oh, what
Thinking
about
about
the fact that we
the
can use
easiest
them
way
to
here might
create-
actually be for the people who don't know about them to ask in here, to ask questions. Since that
That would be me.
well, and Marty, I would presume.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God I'm not alone, Marty. God bless you.
Yeah, no, biology.
Our science bless you. Whoever's having you.
Biology is not my thing. I stick to physics. But
Okay,
the problem is, I think I've run out of questions for the time being. So.
Oh, fair enough.
What I want to know is, if now we're going to get a vaccine, hopefully sometime in the next millennium, how much money would I have to give any of you to like make sure that gives me superpowers?
That depends. Do we count autism as a superpower?
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, then the normal price.
They're free. Like, that's like for the people who weren't vaccinating previously, and then this is kind of like a big example of why you should. It's like this,
Well,
like at the start, like how long ago was this kind of like non-vaccinating thing? Like really, like when it kind of kick off? Well, like I only really knew of it last year about anti-vax. You should probably know more.
It's been going. It's been going since the invention of the first vaccine. It's just,
but it was popularized after the Wakefield thing, and that was it 98, 99 something?
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
98.
So here we are in 2020 with a pretty big reason why you probably should vaccinate.
Well, I'm
We're
still
down
shocked
one
that the anti-vaxxers are shutting up.
They aren't. They've already started saying stuff like, "Oh, when the COVID-19 vaccine comes, I won't take it," and It's
Really?
that. Yeah, I've even seen some say that it's a hoax to get people to take vaccines.
Yeah, some have said that, including a certain president, but at least I think he did. Or he said something to that effect.
No,
anyway.
not yeah.
No, it
hoax,
wasn't about the vaccine, but he said it was a
Yeah.
hoax. But yeah, I've heard that it was some people have said it, but I've also heard a lot of nothing from anti-vaxxers. Like some seem to actually be going, "Oh shit, is this what we wanted?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that is happening to some extent. It's
Yeah.
And then there's the joy of seeing them now, like all the people who's been railing against big pharma.
Yeah, they're going, why can't Big Pharma come up with a vaccine to protect? Oh, wait.
No, it's even dumber than that. It's some of those same people are now effectively doing free shilling for the pharmaceutical companies because of their hydrochloroquine.
Oh, yeah.
So they're promoting the really bad studies on it, saying, "See, we have a cure." So
It's just going to be like Instagram influencer level of take this vaccine sponsored by Kim Kardashian. Take this vaccine sponsored by enter celebrity here. I live in a cave. I don't know what celebrities are.
I mean, you
I
knew
don't
one.
care.
I mean, you start at the head of the snake and you work your way down.
No, there was one there, and I was just trying to find it because I saw it on my Facebook being shared like a couple of times, just trying to see who the doctor was, but it was on some news station out in the back arse and nowhere in America.
That's not very specific. That's large parts of America.
Yeah, but he was saying, he was saying that you don't need a respirator to cure bad cases of COVID-19. You just need to directly infuse vitamin C.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, it's he's not actually. If I'm correct, he's not actually. If it's the guy I'm thinking of,
he's the guy who claims he invented invented email.
Oh yeah. He has it even in his Twitter name. He
Shiva, I'm not even going to pronounce his second name.
Oh, it's William H. Email. I know him. Yeah, I know the guy.
but technically, I mean, is this a case of you don't need a respirator to cure it, as in make the disease end? Because I mean, technically, he's right. If you don't give the sick guy a respirator, the disease will go away.
Yeah, because the person either gets better on their own and has lung damage or dies.
Or they fucking die.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, he's right.
And then they're not sick anymore.
They die from drowning from the inside.
Yeah.
That is how this thing kills you.
Yeah,
it gives you... it fills up your lungs with fluid and you drown from the inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one way of dampening the immune system, through death. Just like slowly smother the immune system.
Death, the ultimate immune suppressant.
But yeah, that just got me annoyed. More so the fact that people who I think should know better were sharing this, and I was like,
"Yeah,
guys, how long have you been up? Go to sleep."
Also, yeah, just for clarity, large doses of vitamin C won't do anything. It does nothing.
Yeah.
Even if Linus Pauling says otherwise.
Larger doses of vitamins than you take normally, you'll just piss it out.
Yeah, if it's in the case of the water solubles.
Yeah.
The fat soluble ones will build up. That's why if you overdose on vitamin A, you just give yourself liver damage.
Yeah.
There's vitamin A in alcohol? Is that why it's called vitamin A?
No.
That's why I have liver damage.
That's vitamin ethanol, and it's not a vitamin.
It's vital to our way of life. And good
Me
night.
through the quarantine. Definitely getting me through the quarantine. That's the next T-shirt. Vitamin ethanol. Thank you. Even coming.
Copyright. Just original. Do not steal.
We may not have. There may not be a sponsor, but there could be merch. As long as our suppliers wish.
Bill Gates putting chips in our heads.
Yes, that is
Chips that do what?
mind control.
I thought he's talking about Kato. No, we're talking about chips, as in microchips.
Microchips, yes.
Oh no, so we're not talking about fried potatoes and salt.
No, no.
Then I'm not interested.
No, we're not talking about delicious pub crisps.
And we're also not talking about the things you pay for at casino tables.
I can't eat those.
You can try.
Oh, I did.
If you have enough vitamin ethanol, you can eat anything.
Yeah, so no, that is one of the conspiracies that Bill Gates is trying to put chips in us via the vaccines, and that's why this is all a hoax to do that.
Yeah, that actually came across again on my Facebook feed from people I thought should know better. People who have children. And I start to worry.
But what?
Having children.
Okay, so chips that control our minds, aren't the chemicals that turn frogs gay already doing that?
No, they're turning frogs gay.
Yeah, but don't they also mind control? I mean, the chemtrails are controlling our minds, and everything is controlling our minds, and we act like, well, normally. So it doesn't seem to be working.
No,
I for one welcome my new Billy Gates overlord.
I mean, he is now the main sponsor of.
What is Bill Gates going to do? Force us to buy Windows? Oh wait.
Well, I mean, he is now the main sponsor of the WHO.
The who? Sorry.
Yeah.
Shoot him in the face. That was fantastic. I was going to go for a World Hockey Organization, but yeah,
Hey, none of us are Canadian.
Fair point, I guess.
This one.
Wasn't Bill Gates suggesting a UV dye with a half-life of a few years to let medics know who has and hasn't had the virus? Not a bloody chip. I haven't heard that.
No, me neither.
I'm not sure how that would work. Like, why are you putting this dye? Because if you're putting it on your skin, it ain't gonna stay there for that long.
Yeah.
So I think I've heard something like that you could get
vaccine. Okay.
Like you could get it when you get the vaccine.
Well, it still doesn't help because the dye will go away as your skin is replenished.
Yeah, so unless it's like you give someone like a tattoo.
That's it, like with invisible ink. I don't know if that's...
I mean, a UV tattoo does sound pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Free UV tattoo and the possibility of superpowers. I'm all for it. And microchips in my brain, so I don't.
Although personally, if I'm gonna have a glowing tattoo, I'm gonna do it with a GFP.
Green fluorescent protein, nice.
Yes. That joke was specifically for you.
Yeah,
which is actually something we could use. I could use viruses to do because we use viruses for genetic modifications.
Yep.
In biotech.
We use them to transfect cells in a dish in vitro.
Yes.
Adenoviruses are the ones we most usually use for mammalian cells, and then there's another one for plants. No, sorry. I think it's more bacteria for plants.
Yeah, the plant. The you're thinking of Agrobacterium.
Yeah,
that's the one. That's the bacterium that also has the ability to insert its own genes into plants. Normally, you would use that to get genes in that make the plant make things it wants, but we can replace those genes with things we want.
Basically, just taking over the bacteria to take over the plant.
Yes. And we would modify that bacterium with another virus. Is HIV considered a retrovirus because it started to be a problem in the 80s? No, it's considered a retrovirus because it go retro as in reverse. It goes the other direction of how genetic information normally travels. So normally it's DNA to RNA to protein, but in retroviral like HIV, it has an RNA as its genetic information, and on that there's.
I gotta go. My wife is coming home. So.
Oh,
okay.
Bye.
See you guys.
See you guys. See you, Marty.
So normally, one on this RNA, it has it encodes a protein that is called reverse transcriptase, which basically takes it reads the RNA and makes DNA out of it, as opposed to the normal route, which it then can get inserted into the genome, so it becomes
part of your genome. It can become
yes.
It basically just becomes a part of your genes.
Which is which is of course it's not good to have it in you, but it's very useful for genetic engineering because it means you can put that, like you can use it to insert the genes you want to express into a cell. So a lot of the standard methods for making permanently expressed proteins in cell lines is using modified adenoviruses, of which HIV is one. I know one I've used at least contained some of the genes in it was from HIV originally.
Yeah, I was supposed to start something like that, and then all this started. Yeah, and then there's also, interesting enough, there's viruses that infect bacteria.
Yes, called bacteriophages,
which are the coolest things ever to look at under I was going to say microscope, under an electron microscope.
Well, at least the T4 ones.
Yeah. That's the one with, oh god, there's an enzyme actually. They actually use an enzyme from that to make oh god, I'm blanking on it now.
I mean, come on, Mike. I mean, I clearly was gonna say what it was, but I mean, if you're not gonna say it, then no one else is gonna get in your way there. I mean, really, you call yourself a bio Superman? I mean,
I got it. Cree recombinase. That was it.
Yeah, shit. I shouted the answer out of you. No, you just googled it. That's how my parents encouraged me. That's why I'm not smart.
There was also a Hurley there somewhere as well.
Yeah, right at the back of the legs. That's why I limp.
So this the bacteriophages, as you said, are they're bacteria. Sorry, they're viruses that infect bacteria. And they only infect bacteria because bacteria have a cell wall. So to infect the bacteria, you can't rely on the same system as you can in animals, because animals don't have cell walls. So it's a lot easier to get in. Whereas in bacteria, you need to get through that cell wall. And that usually involves, instead of like getting the whole virus particle in, what you do is you land on the surface and then you inject your genetic material through the wall, which is what bacteriophages do, which is quite cool. Also, they look like some of, at least the T4 ones, which is a specific type, look like little little moon landers.
Yeah, like little spaceships.
Yes.
That's what I always call them. They're really cool, and they're one of the few useful viruses that we have. They're not all pandemic-causing arseholes.
No.
They actually do have some good uses on occasions.
I'm just imagining a bunch of the bacteriophages like Space Invaders. They're coming down.
I mean, and you're not far off. Like that is really what they look like.
And if they do make it to the ground, that cell is dead.
Then you use a life. No, your life. Nah, you're fucked.
Well, if you're a bacterium.
And even that's where we got CRISPR from as well. Is the it's a bacterial response to virus infection. That's how they protect themselves.
Yes.
Through CRISPR, which Reed then decided to take and use it to genetically modify cells again.
Yeah, all the things we use is all shit we've just stolen from other organisms and said, this is ours now. We're gonna use this.
Just thinking, remember the bee movie when the bees sued mankind because we were using their honey?
Oh yeah.
They should make a sequel to that where viruses take a copyright strike on mankind for using their shit. Big Pharma sued by retroviruses.
I think you've just proven a usefulness for a B movie. Get that man a crown.
I mean, it made for a pretty good meme.
I only know the B movie from the memes, and
It's the same here.
And I think I actually did
way.
see the movie.
I saw Jerry Seinfeld and I thought, oh, this is gonna be no. Oh,
It's a too copious amount of bacons can cure this.
I'm willing to try. Set it up. I'm willing to try.
I don't. I mean, if you eat enough of them, you will die. That will take me.
I think
actually, if anything, eating more bacon would be worse because from what you're telling me, the virus that will not be named, it's attracted to fat. So the fatter you get, the more.
No, that's like it has a fat membrane. It's a different kind of fat.
I was using that as an excuse to get really, really fat, and now I can't. I'm gonna get a use out of this corona thing sometime, hopefully. Like, is there actually something that can be taken from this and used from it? In the way you're saying that you can use certain things, like even like HIV, which was an awful thing, and you've actually been able to manipulate it and use it practically now. Is there some type of beneficial aspect of this particular virus that could be used practically in the future?
I mean, I could see it potentially. We could potentially use the spike protein that it uses to infect. Like if you're trying to specifically target lung tissue for some reason, that might be useful. I'm not sure if that's the most efficient way of doing it, but like I could see it sort of work.
So there could be an upside to this awful pandemic.
And hopefully it might actually stop the people from having those wet markets where the virus came from twice. Might I add, the original SARS came from a wet market in China as well back in 2002, and lo and behold, 18 years later, another wet market in the same kind of awful conditions produced another virus.
There has been one upside to it actually that we're already seeing now. folding at home, which is a distributed computer. It's a distributed computer network. It has which is used to examine protein structures, and how it's called folding at home because you do it at home on your computer, and it's folding proteins because proteins are long strands of amino acids that get folded, and how they're folded in 3D has a lot to do with how they work. That is now the most powerful supercomputer ever. It is more powerful than the 500 other top contenders combined.
And that was developed because of the current.
It existed beforehand, but they decided to, once the pandemic started, they decided to start putting up simulations and giving out simulations to people of those proteins, and that got caught in the got mentioned in the press, and they got a lot of press, which got them a lot of new people who installed the program on their computer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that means the more people who have installed the program, the more computing power that this program gets, because it's like hooking up all the computers that have the program into one kind of supercomputer.
Yes. And they're currently doing some of the initial tests, simulating some of the virus proteins, where together with potential drug molecules to see if they will do anything as a sort of screening, and they can then go on. People can then go on and use that knowledge to potentially like figure out which ones to test first, which one has the most possibility. We've also learned a lot about some folding at home projects. It's the spike protein. We've learned a lot of how because it has to bind to the thing on the cell to get in. Mm-hmm. It has to unfold, sort of open its mouth in quote unquote. And we've learned a lot about how that works, which will be really helpful for developing drugs that might potentially stop that.
Hooray!
Yes, it does take, as been pointed out in the chat, it does take up your you have to maybe fiddle a little with the settings, and it will take up computer power. So, like, if you're deciding to do something computer intensive, like play a game or render video, turn it off while you do that.
Yeah, but I can imagine that put a strain on your PC if you had it on for long enough, or run a single R script. Have I told you I've been coding?
Yeah, you have mentioned that. R isn't the worst language.
No, it's actually I think I'd prefer that or Chime, which I think it's kind of similar. I haven't got really onto Chime because I can't install anything new onto my laptop because my university has removed privilege guard on the laptop, or it expired. And in order to get that now installed again, I have to go into the university, into the ISS.
Oh.
You have to leave the house and go outside.
Yeah.
Where the spooky, scary thing is. Other people.
Where the nasty germs are. But before this, I was scared of the murderers.
It is Ireland.
Yeah, Dublin specifically.
Well, if there is a murderer, more than likely you'll know them. Which is comforting.
Yeah,
helps me sleep at night.
That's usually what I see when I sleep, and I'll leave you hanging and get on who I might actually be killed by. Well, this took a dark turn.
Just slightly.
Answers in the chat, please.
But like viruses are weird. They do weird stuff. Like like just the fact that HIV, and other viruses will like reverse, go the opposite way of where genetic information, the direction genetic information usually goes, is pretty weird.
Yeah, really throws the whole. This is the central dogma of molecular biology.
It's a terrible name. It's a terrible name. So for those who don't know, the central dogma is the DNA to RNA to protein. That is called the central dogma in molecular biology.
I know it well, yeah.
Could never have named it that. It's a stupid name.
It's yeah. But this virus goes the complete opposite way. Which
HIV,
is weird.
yeah.
Yeah. That and other retroviruses. And of course, well, I don't know much about computer viruses. That's why we really wish we had somebody on tech. But I'm sure we've all come across a computer virus now and again.
I mean, they're just like, they just share a name. Although I did have one anti-vaxxer at one point who
tried to infect you with a computer virus.
No, well, he was very special and effectively implied that because in computer viruses are used to hack people, and normal actual viruses are named the same, that they also were used to hack our cells.
I mean, clearly, I mean that.
Like as in someone was hacking them.
Yeah. When you get a cold, that means you're being hacked. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree entirely.
Yeah, but I mean, like naturally hacked the cellular processes. Yes.
No. As in, like someone
has hacking their brain.
He also claimed the same guy also claimed to have not have our intestinal flora. So
Wait, what? He doesn't have intestinal.
He claimed that his colon was completely free of bacteria.
Oh, good for him.
Well, no, because if that was the case, he would be dead. He kind of needed to get certain vitamins.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like we can get germ-free mice that are essentially sterile, but if they don't function well.
No, and you have to feed them very specific thing. Like you have to really like make sure they get all the stuff they need from the food, and they're also really, really susceptible to getting sick.
There's a really cheap joke about people with very specific dietary choices. I'm not going to open up that Pandora's box, but we all know exactly who we're thinking about. It's vegans. It's vegans. I'm saying it's vegans. It's vegans.
I mean, it could be pretty much any people with a dietary restriction that is there made by choice. Like really, like vegans are probably the least like at least there's some sense behind it. You can make a good ethical argument for it. Whereas like other people who aren't celiacs but like avoid gluten for no reason. There's no fucking argument for that.
What about the people that were on the 100% bat diet?
That's a oh god, I'm after having a brain stall.
It was a cheap joke, and I stand by it.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not above cheap jokes here.
Well, we would have to pay. We don't want to pay a lot for our jokes. Jokes can get expensive.
Yeah, let's tell our writers. Oh wait, you don't have any. That's why
We
you're
are the writers. Hey.
Yeah. Bacon.
Oh yeah, that's still up there.
I'm only seeing this now. Is it true that copious amounts of bacon will cure this? Ah, it's what a fantastic pun.
I didn't even notice the pun.
It's not open when you open it now.
It's been up for a while. I'd say it's about a good 5 minutes anyway.
I noticed it and like you responded to, but I didn't realize the joke.
That's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for one of us to get. I was like, come on, guys, you gotta say it. I left it there for you.
I don't want to have to explain it.
I still missed that. I still missed. Oh, actually, no. I still have a bit of ham in the freezer from Christmas. Might get that later. It's cooked with cider.
Ooh.
Does that mean it means it's cooked and then you drink cider, or it was cooked with cider?
Yes.
Should have known better.
Interesting, because so we're talking about the fact the viruses will, like, we can use them to transfer genetic material in the lab, but that also means that because they will do this naturally, that also means they're quite important in evolution. Placental mammals wouldn't exist without viruses, because they're proteins that are involved in binding the placenta to the inside of the uterus. Those proteins originally come from a virus that got integrated into the DNA of a mammal ancestor that then got stuck there and didn't become an infection, and that evolved into that protein.
Yes, that can happen where the DNA becomes incorporated, but no active viruses are made.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's weird to think that infection is what, like, it created an entire, like, branch of the animal tree of life. That infection created a new branch. Like, that's quite crazy to think about.
That is just.
That's the one that's the one we're on, right?
Yes.
We did it.
Viruses made us.
I feel like I've accomplished something today just by sitting here listening to you guys.
I mean, actually, if I remember correctly, it's actually quite large portions of our DNA is originally from viruses. It's like a quite high number is endogenous viruses.
We're like share 14 of them with chimpanzees, don't we?
Yeah, and then we got some more. We got some more after the split, and they got some more after the split, which is how which can be used to track the split. And even weirder, because
so you're saying we evolved?
Yes.
Clearly, we're made in the Lord God's image of the spaghetti flying monster.
Hail Saturn.
Well, that's why DNA looks like a spaghetti screw, a pasta screw. So, but the fact that we have a lot of virus DNA in our DNA means that we can have that we've used that to track the evolution of viruses. So viruses don't have a lot of they mutate a lot faster than we do, because they don't have a lot of them, like, safety mechanisms, like proofreading mechanisms to make sure that copied the DNA correctly. Yeah,
which is it's a trade-off. You know, you evolve quicker, but then a lot of your kin don't survive because they get fatal mutations. Well, again, I hate saying fatal and all that because it's a virus; it's not actually alive. But
very deleterious.
Very deleterious, or just basically mutations that don't make it work. But at the same time, if you're producing millions of copies at once, then you can cope with that. If you're producing two, like humans, you really need to proofread.
But
my hair.
Not enough people are proofreading when they're making humans.
But But because when they then infect us and the DNA becomes part of our DNA, those same proofreading mechanisms that we have now apply to that. So that once viral DNA now evolves at the same rate we do. So you can go back so that like it looks more like it did when that infection first happened than if you went and looked at the ancestor of that virus. So there actually be like people who study the evolution of viruses will actually look at that DNA to figure out the evolution and the relationship between different viruses.
So if I hit on someone and they reject me, I just say that that's effective proofreading and I've not been rejected?
No.
Nah.
That's just a bad excuse.
And you're married. I know this, Brian. I was there.
Well,
That's
being
why,
married.
that's why I said somebody attractive who's downstairs watching Phantom of the Opera.
I have no idea if that's a good movie or not, so I can't say it. I have no comment.
It also depends on which one. There are several movie adaptations of that. That
depends on what mutation it is. Yeah.
All of them at once.
Musicals. It's the entertainment form of a virus.
Apart from what's that one? Avenue Q.
That's one of the good viruses.
Yeah. And the Mormons, which was supposed to come to Dublin this year, but because of this virus, that's up in the air. It said December, so we may get in to see it. I haven't actually seen that particular one, so
it's supposed to be quite good.
But I expect good things from the South Park creators.
True.
But
that's what else can we do? There's a lot. It's not that we don't have things to talk about. It's just like, what do we talk about? Because talking about viruses is quite a massive topic.
the one what I'm doing at the moment is just trying to write a project on wastewater epidemic, tracking viruses in wastewater. So that's submitted next week, but that could be a good one to track the spread of viruses in communities. So for instance, like nursing homes, track norovirus or hepatitis.
You would take samples from the wastewater and then analyze that for genetic material, or
the piece. Are you taking samples at the moment? Will I just post them over to you, or?
You know what? I'll walk over. I need the exercise. I need to get out of the house. I will gladly need the excuse. Again, that's a shit turn.
Well, so I'm assuming that's mainly gonna be like things that give you diarrhea and stuff, or at least often have a fecal oral transmission route, like norovirus and stuff like that.
Norovirus, hepatitis A can be shed in it. Mm-hmm. They actually did a study in 2013 where they found they were able to predict a hepatitis and a norovirus outbreak in a Swedish town of Gothenburg. I think it's called Gothenburg.
That is indeed a Swedish town, yes.
See, I only seen that word written, so I have no idea. It could have been something completely different.
That's where Swedish Batman comes from.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for somebody to say
he was there. I was here for that one.
Maybe that's why he's not here. He is Swedish Batman.
But do you know what Batman is called in Swedish?
No.
Letterlappen, which literally means the letter patch. It's not called that anymore, But that when he first
Leather
came out, that is what he was like. That was what he was called. I don't know why. It's a
Kinky.
stupid. It's so weird.
Villains run in fear from Leather Patch.
Oh god, no, that would have been worked out better if it was Catwoman because with the whip.
That's more than just a patch.
No. But yeah, no. Apparently, SARS, this particular virus, can be at least detected in feces. And
Yeah.
it's not sure if it can actually still active, but you can at least detect it.
Yes, and there have been some reports of diarrhea, mild diarrhea being a symptom.
Because there are, as far as I know, those ACE2 receptors in the GI tract.
I don't actually know that. It wouldn't surprise me. It seems to be quite a common.
Because the ACE2 receptor is also important in vascular health.
I don't actually know what its like normal function is.
Something to cleave, something to reach, and angiotensin.
Angiotensin converting enzyme too.
Yeah, there's something to release that.
Yeah, it's used to turn angiotensin 2 into angiotensin 1-7, which one of them is a vasoconstrictor and the other one is a vasodilator. So it's involved in blood pressure control.
That's that's what I was thinking with the name angiotensin. I was thinking it's something to do with blood pressure because tense,
Well, and angio is blood vessels.
That too.
I was going to say the same. I didn't want to interrupt.
And
thought you had it there. Let you kind of go on it. Sounds real good. Keep it up.
do the science. Yeah, my science is literally going to wastewater and collecting a liter and bringing it back to the lab. But at least I get to hire my own personal environmental scientist from it.
Oh,
yeah, I'll have an employee for once that's not a student. That's like, hey, you do this part of the work, and I'll work the PCR magic.
I like that you said you're going to have an employee and you held back your maniacal laughter. I'm proud of you.
I reserve my maniacal laughter for students. On the lab door, abandon hope, all ye who enter here. It was better than what was in the lab on my last on the door of my last lab, which was don't forget you're here forever. And I'm not joking. That actually was on the lab door. And my PI hated it. I didn't put it up as well. I was over there from the master student. Who's still there, by the way.
So he's there forever.
Yeah.
Hold on. Isn't that just offering your tenure track?
True. But when you're a student, it's not tenure. It's failure to complete.
True.
The lab motto used to be, the beatings will continue until morale improves. I wish I was still there for that policy.
You're going to have an employee now. You can beat them up as much as you like.
Yay! Violence.
I'm still really happy with Swedish Batman. I want to see pictures of Leather Patch.
Well, it's just a name.
Oh, sure.
It's like, I mean, it's Batman. That's just what he was called when, like, in Swedish.
That's it. What did they call the bat symbol? The letter symbol?
I don't know. I just know that was what he was called when the comics originally came to Sweden.
I really want to get a hold of one of those original comics and replace the bat symbol with a bullwhip.
I want to know if I want to know if the sales were better or worse when they reverted the name to Batman and Leatherpatch. Was Leatherpatch more popular, or was Batman the name more popular?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just know that's what we call it. But like, that's the thing. Like, we when superhero comics came to Scandinavia, we generally translated their names.
Like direct translation.
More or less. Well, so more or less directly. Like, we didn't like now. We obviously use the English names given, but like Spider-Man, when Spider-Man came to Denmark, he was literally just called like Edderkoppemanten. That's literally just Spider-Man in Danish, which sounds stupid in Danish, but that was what it was called.
It's fantastic. I love it. You can avoid copyright claims by just using the direct translation of them.
That's one way of getting around the DMC. The
DMC?
Yeah.
The Disney Cinematic Universe?
The demilitarized zone? The area between North and South Korea? I think
what's that one with the
DMCA.
DMCA. There we go.
Yes.
I'm Mickle Mouse.
Oh, you bet your ass you're getting a copyright strike for that one, boy.
Well, except it wouldn't be mouse, it would be moose.
Mickle Moose. Different character altogether.
Original character, do not steal.
That's definitely somebody's first Sona.
Where's Miles when we need him? Yeah, he can't defend himself, so
well, he couldn't be able to defend himself even if he was here, so
yeah.
Let's see, what else can we talk about?
Yeah, no, that's
so like it's a very, as I said, it's a very broad topic, so
yeah, no, Cal suggested it like 2 weeks ago. We were supposed to do this last week, but we just couldn't get people. And then I ended up getting the hosting duties for today. So, and then I've been also working on that one particular one. So
nothing's gone on fire yet, so you're doing an okay job, I think.
The website's doing most of the hosting for me. But yeah, do you know?
Your first mistake is bringing me here. Nah.
Well, you need to throw something in different to get the.
I'm a layman.
We need more Irish people on the show. But yeah, did you see on Coursera they're offering a COVID-19 course?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's free. It's free. Like usually, the Coursera don't charge you for the certificate, but this one's completely free for the cert.
Huh.
So and there's no quizzes or anything. It's just read through the videos. Just like the first week is like updates, all the different updates up from the start of the pandemic to present. So that updates every week, and then they have like a video on the or not, which is the spread of the virus. You know how many people one person will infect on average. How they use genetic sequencing to track how the virus spreads. So like they can able to say, okay, this virus came. This virus.
You construct a phylogeny based on the small variations in their genes, depending on the place. That's how they know, for example, that
this virus came from X, Y, and Z. So like they're able to say, oh, this virus came from Italy, which came from Wuhan. Same way we can tell how we've and chimps share the same common ancestor, which share the same common ancestor, and so on and so on and so on. But that's also up there as well. And also, there's actually links to a really cool game as well. Epidemics. It's kind of based on Pandemic, the board game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's on Coursera. It's really good. There's also a few other things on it as well that I just can't remember because I'm flying to the course. I'm flying to that course or coding as well. Online, just trying to keep active, keep the mind active while I'm at home. And there's another interesting software where you can see it shows you the map of the world, and then through that, what I said, the genetic sequence, the phylogenetics, it shows you in real time the spread of the virus throughout the world. And then it shows like from China to Italy, and then from Italy to wherever, or from China to the US, and the US to Canada, and then Canada back to the US. So you can kind of see it's hopping to and fro throughout the world.
That's neat.
Yeah, but it's really cool. That just shows how really cool genetic just sequencing it is. But yeah, that's all up on Coursera. And there's also an epidemics course as well that I did in 2016 and I'm going back to. And most of it was just that when that measles outbreak in 2015, the measles outbreak in Disneyland.
I can't remember, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, there's like some Karen didn't get her child vaccinated, and then there's a load of outbreak because of the measles. It's like,
fucking Karen.
You know how people don't like the old Karens don't vaccinate their kids? It's kind of like the equivalent of cleaning your house and then your roommate comes home and gets it messy again. It's like, we just got rid of that disease.
Yep.
It's pretty much exactly like that. Like, for example, measles. That was set to be eradicated, but no, somebody decided, I don't want to get vaccinated.
Some money hungry doctor in England decided to be an idiot.
Yeah, because the whole point of that study was not to show that vaccines were harmful. It was to show that.
But that specific vaccine was harmful, so he could sell his vaccine, which was a worse vaccine.
Do you reckon we're going to actually get a good vaccine that will last for this? Or,
I mean, we got one for SARS, so, and this is quite similar to SARS, of course. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a good one, like, or at least a decent one that will provide enough protection that we can get rid of it the same way we have with SARS.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Even if you got a couple of years out of it, we could just decimate it to a point where it's just only a flare up now and again, rather than just this full lockdown. Because, like, I like my house, I really love my home, but this is far too much.
I've been to all four corners of this room 6 times today. That's enough for me.
Exactly.
You're able to, I'm starting to develop a piano system with the squeaks on my stairs. I've nearly got it there. I nearly have it there. It's kind of like when you rub your finger on a glass and it makes the noise. I'm kind of doing that with the squeaks on my stairs now. It's getting there. It's going to be the new viral sensation when I break my neck.
And behold, I'll know Brian Maxwell with Beethoven's Fifth Symphony on the stairs.
The song isn't from the stairs. It's for people auto-tuning my screams.
But how long have we been on for?
An hour and a half almost.
All right. Because we started a bit later.
Yes, you can. It's literally in the corner of the
All right, there we are. I actually have been not paying attention to my screen at all. I've been more paying attention to the comments, trying to preempt them as they come up.
That's fair.
Yep. Agree. Wolf setting medicine back by decades. At least the vaccine, the anti-vaxxers came after smallpox was eradicated.
Well, there were actually early there's been anti-vaxxers like since the vaccines were first developed, but they definitely they've gotten worse after.
The bad ones have been really eliminated.
I mean, you wouldn't have gotten like hardcore anti-vaxxers during the smallpox epidemics because everyone was like, "Yeah, fuck the smallpox. No, we would like to get rid of that." Smallpox is not fun. It's a really, really serious disease.
Yeah, but there's only like a few smallpox samples in the world now, and BSL-4 labs in America and Russia.
Yes, I can't remember what it's called, what the town is in Russia, and in America, it's in the CDC headquarters in Atlanta.
But
and they're only there in case it's somewhere out there or someone gets hold of it and makes it into a weapon.
Like that, do you see that House episode? I only saw like Dr. Mike's response to it on YouTube.
No.
But basically, they think somebody gets smallpox when they were scuba diving and an old pirate shipwreck, and they come into a contact with a bottle that's sealed, and when they open it up, they get infected with which they thought was smallpox. So that the whole episode is like, does this person have smallpox? And they're getting people in from the CDC, and then I realize it's not smallpox, but it's a related pox to those that infect cats. I can't really describe it. Again, I'm only describing a response.
That's such a house plot. Holy shit.
And basically, the way the Scrubs house demonstrates that it is smallpox is that when he's in there in isolation with the smallpox patient, he's in that BSL level 4 suit we see in Outbreak. He ends up having to take that off in order to inspect the patient because he couldn't. The gloves were inhibiting this reach of the patient, which
house reasons. It was house reasons. That's why.
Yes,
he did it because house
rules.
He did it because he is leather hatch. I mean Batman. Why? Because I'm Batman.
Because I'm Leather Patch. Played by Hugh Laurie.
I want to see that movie.
Hugh Laurie playing Doctor Strange.
Isn't that just House?
Wrong.
I mean, it's a different kind of strange.
House with a cape.
We did talk about what viruses do to you earlier, actually. A little bit, but we didn't get into like some of the more weird things they can do to you.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer, for example.
Oh yeah, Jesus, yeah, no. That's every time the HPV comes up.
Yes.
The HPV vaccine usually follows, and the reason I just went for fuck's sake is because the HSE here in Ireland, which is our Irish system, healthcare system, they are pretty good at routinely putting up on Facebook, get the HPV vaccine. It's completely safe and it prevents you from getting infected with HPV, which can lead to,
which is one of the main of the deep, like almost exclusive causes of cervical cancer, and it also causes several oral cancers and penile cancer.
Yeah, So that's why, get before we go on, get the fucking HPV vaccine.
Yes. Don't listen to
Karen on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or
because
any
the
of
amount of Karens that descend on that Facebook post, like every single time you'll just see a couple, and it's always the same kind of people as well, the same people that are defending it, who I absolutely love, and then people that are saying, "No, I'm not getting it because I know somebody who developed something such and such from it," and it's like,
yeah, we had a whole we had a huge drop in the vaccination rates here in Denmark because there was some really bad media coverage, and one of the major one of the major channels decided to make a really horrendously badly misinformed documentary. And we also have a doctor who has completely fucking lost his marbles and is like gone from being an actual doctor, like doing actual doctor things, to effectively being a quack.
fake doctor.
Yeah, who has decided to who has done studies, quote unquote, to supposedly prove that there was a link between. We actually have two of them now. I just remember we have two doctors that do that. One has gone more quackery than the other. So yeah, we've just started. We've just now actually come back up. I think last year we got back up to acceptable vaccination rates, but we had a huge dip.
Yep, that's what 97%, isn't it? Around that, you need to get herd immunity.
I can't remember, but it's.
But so you can see, you see the logical arguments made by people who actually have genuine medical degrees and have doctorates are way too nice about it. No, but it'd be actually really good if you could get vaccinated. Whereas the people who are convincing people not to become vaccinated are playing on people's more kind of primary instincts and fear.
I'm pretty sure not getting cancer falls under that too.
Yeah, but it's like, speaking as a very lazy person, if I don't have to do something, then cool, I'm not going to do it. Fantastic. We'll see what happens. That's why I've become large from sitting around all day doing fuck up.
And I understand that
apathy, the curse of apathy.
Yeah, I kind of took a break from Facebook just this week, just because there was people who started. I used to kind of respond to some people that we putting stuff up from Facebook about this shutdown, saying, "Oh, this doctor says it's caused by 5G," or or that the recent one. That recent one was, as I was saying earlier on,
the vitamin C.
Dr. Sheep, yeah. He's also I was reading through the video, he's like, okay, why are people sharing this? I knew it was going to be stupid because it was this whole virus is all overblown. I was thinking, okay, this is going to be some crack doctor, or this is going to be a legitimate doctor who people are not understanding, because I've seen that as well. People have misquoted studies or misquoted doctors as well to say that, the lockdown is completely unneeded. And the first thing he said, they used to think AIDS was caused by this is the whole AIDS virus, AIDS HIV thing, and I was like, is he going with this where I think he's going with this?
Yes. Oh yeah.
And then I just looked up to be doubly sure, and yep, he's a HIV AIDS denialist, which means that he doesn't accept that HIV causes AIDS. Which those people exist.
Yeah. And interestingly, some of their quote unquote, in very much of quotes, arguments are in fact being used during this because PCR testing. They don't the HIV AIDS denialists are quite stupid when it comes to PCR, including the guy who invented PCR. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, that is just bizarre. But then again, he also said that Oh, I should have. I should know this, but
Yeah,
I
that
know-
like a few years ago.
oh, okay. So
I didn't want to tell you, Michael. I knew you were close.
We did used to share the old LSD. Apparently, that's what he says. What he was on when he discovered PCR.
No, he was driving, if I remember correctly. The story is that he was driving somewhere, and he had some biochemist sleeping in the car next to him, and actually stopped them to like when he got the idea and and woke them up, and that person was like super annoyed and like why are we stopping? Why did you wake me up? And didn't really care about the idea and went back to sleep, unimpressed.
And that idea is over like billions.
Yes, he got. If I remember correctly, he didn't get that much money for it, but the company he worked for made fucking bank.
I can imagine so.
Well, he did get the Nobel Prize, so.
Oh yeah, you'd have to for that idea. Like that's. I
Should we
can't
maybe
imagine
explain what PCR is to people?
PCR is brilliant. It's an absolutely fantastic magical machine. So I'll let you go.
It's a very advanced waffle iron.
Waffles.
I mean, that's not incorrect. That is to a large extent how the machine works.
I've heard waffle iron, and you have my full attention.
You have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
You probably could make waffles in a PCR machine.
I think so. I haven't tried.
I wouldn't try it because it's gonna ruin the machine, maybe. So
But,
PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction. It's a way of amplifying genetic material, such as DNA or RNA, and it amplifies very specific things. Like you add something, you add little bits of the thing you wanna find called primers. And they determine what DNA gets amplified. So you can use it to detect very specific pieces of DNA if they're there and do tests on them. Which is very useful if you want to detect, for example, a virus. If you want to see if a person has a virus, well, then the virus would be there, and then its DNA would be there. So if you put in primers for that virus's DNA, well, then you're gonna get a positive test. That's very oversimplified.
Yep. The reason why you want to amplify the DNA that's there is that usually DNA is low quantity, but by amplifying it, you can get a lot more DNA that you can work with more easily. So you can get let's say, for example, a big signal there that you can determine that it presence or absence of the virus or whatever you're looking for. Or you could send it off for sequencing if you're like say are interested in microbiome studies.
Which I am very much.
So the reason why the waffle iron thing is because the machine, like you add some things to your sample, but then you put it into a machine that heats it up. Like it heats it up in like cycles where it heats it up to a specific degree, stays it there, then lets it cool down again, heats it up, and it does these cycles, and it does kind of look like a waffle iron.
Yeah.
And the way it works, or the heating, the different heat and cooling cycles works as follows. So you heat it up to 95 degrees. The reason why you want to heat it up to 95 degrees is that DNA exists in two strands. You want to get those strands separated. So if you heat it up, those two strands become separated. And then when you cool it down, those primers, so these bind to the start of the DNA sequence. That allows the enzyme to bind and start to replicate the DNA strand.
And
so
it's a very special enzyme we have once again stolen from bacteria that I think I can't remember if it's a bacteria or an archaea. It's some I think it's an archaea that has that lives in very like hot water. so all its enzymes only work at very high, at around 70 degrees temperatures. So you heat it back up. So you have to heat it back up to get, like, you can turn the
You got
replication. C.
Real temperature,
It's
not
Celsius.
fake, real degrees Celsius, not fake degrees Celsius. That's what the F stands for.
So you can turn that enzyme on and off by it only works when it's only on when you heat it up, which is quite useful. It also means that that protein has a better chance of surviving being heated up and cooled down.
So just a sec. My laptop charger is not charging.
Oh,
Stupid laptop.
so that's one of the ways
This charging,
we one of the ways we use to detect the virus. But you can only do that early on when there's a lot of virus. After which you have to use antibodies.
I mean, I'm for any science that's going to be related to waffles. I'm all for this. See, this is the type of unfortunately, that's the type of stuff that's going to hook into my brain better. It's like a waffle machine, and that actually makes sense now. Whereas, like, actually using like general kind of academia and language you're used to using day to day because of technical knowledge, you have to use specific phrases and that I would never have heard before. I've a sheet in front of me here with all these like really cool phrases that I'm gonna say tomorrow, and I'm gonna seem like really, really smart.
Hold on, I can share my screen. I can show you a PCR machine.
And
but that's where the likes of like people who are, you know, the Karens and the science deniers are picking up on simple phrases that they understand and that they've heard previously, whereas people who are making legitimate intellectual arguments that are, you know, pro something in terms of vaccinating, then you're using like the smart words. They don't help me so much.
There, that's a. Can you see my screen?
there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, when you share the screen, you get to see.
That's a PCR machine.
Yeah.
Well, these are all PCR machines. They like you can imagine this thing here.
Yeah.
Becomes hot, so it's kind of like a waffle iron.
And you can include in your reaction mix basically a dye. That means that when there's more DNA, you get more light. So you can include in that machine a way to detect the light. And that's how you can tell there's more DNA or not.
Yes. So that's one way of detecting it.
Just
the other one is to send light through it. That's if you want like concentrations, for example. That's mainly if you're doing like not detections. If you're doing like if you're gonna use it for transients and transfections and stuff like that. I'm looking through the Wikipedia article on viruses just to like see if there's anything interesting. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things, but like
Wikipedia article of waffles, if that's any use to anybody, but
with lots of syrup.
Don't mind me.
But yeah, no, like we were talking about HPV, so which is an example of an oncovirus, so a virus that causes cancer. And in they generally do it. If I'm not correct, they generally do it. At least a lot of them do it by blocking a protein called P53, which is a very important protein in preventing your cell from getting cancer. So if you block that from working, it's involved in proofreading DNA. You greatly increase the chance of that cell that it has infected becomes cancerous. So that's how it causes cancer. And the reason it wants to cause cancer, the reason it does that is because, well, it's inside the cell. So if the cell replicates, it gets replicated with it. So it's another way for it to replicate itself without replicating. It doesn't replicate in the sense that it does. Well, it still does, but it doesn't. It's using a
infect another cell. It just
it's using another strategy to replicate itself.
You have to infect more cells.
What I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Kind of like humans, really. It's like people. We're not trying to ruin things. We're just trying to replicate ourselves.
I mean, it's not trying to do anything. It doesn't have a mind. It's just a bit of genetic material in a protein coding.
Yeah. But the evolution is an absolute bitch at times.
Yes. And I am very sad that it doesn't accept like suggestions, because I can think of plenty of cool things that should evolve. So
flight for one.
I want like eusocial cuttlefish, for example. That would be cool. Like it's a cuttlefish, but it's like an ant or a bee. That would be neat.
Like with the lights, or
no, like as in eusocial, as in it has a queen and there's workers and it lives in like a hive. I want that, but it's a cuttlefish. But will evolution listen to me? No, it won't.
That's why we take it into our own hands and genetically modify these things.
Can we give raccoons a brain? Raccoons already have brains.
I think like Rocket.
Oh, that kind of brain. That would also be cool.
Soon we'll have Guardians of the Galaxy. And we already have Chris Pratt. I mean, I have him down in my basement, but that's another thing. He can never leave because of the lockdown, not because he's tied in. I'm
more confused why he's spending his lockdown in your basement.
Oh, because he can never escape. I've said too much.
He's allowed leave when he trains you how to talk to raptors. That's the one and only stipulation I have.
And no matter how many times he tries to explain to you that that's just a movie, he won't listen.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how many chickens you throw in there to try and make him devolve the chickens back to raptors, it ain't gonna happen. Nope. Just give me time. Or you know what? Just have a Groot. I want to be able to learn how to speak Groot so I can watch Guardians of the Galaxy again and have a completely different experience.
And actually understand what he says.
Well, that Groot is really offensive. So many racial slurs used.
I didn't know that Groot was a HIV denier.
How does Groot even know about Indians? I don't understand.
He's gotten real racist all of a sudden. Okay, maybe we should switch off the Groot translator.
Or they have the power of lightning, or Palpatine. Without the face.
I mean, there's only one, like, the most useful superpower to have right now is still technomancy. The ability to control machinery and computers with your brain and communicate with them. If you could actually do that in you could just walk through New York City and see, read everyone's phone and control them. That is an extraordinarily useful superpower.
That's what Bill Gates is doing with the vaccines.
That makes sense.
That makes way too much sense.
Yeah. Oh no, We've uncovered it. We have to shut down, everyone. Bye. This was the last podcast ever.
On Windows. Oh, I got a message from Apple. Stop sending. Nope. Oh, not finished that. But yeah, all these modifications we can add using viruses. We could just put the DNA into the virus, and the virus will just do the modification for us.
Although generally you need to do that when you have only a few cells. Like you can't really, like we aren't that far with doing.
Yeah. You could do it with an embryo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then let the embryo go into full scale or to adulthood. Yeah. Full scale adulthood. God, I'm crossing my terms.
And also just full scale humans.
Full scale humans. Full scale studies. That's what I meant to say. Full scale.
Adults are full scale humans as we know them for now.
I mean, I'm technically right.
This isn't even our final form. Just wait till we get cat ears.
I mean, I guess being old is the final form of humans.
Yeah. For some reason, I was on a Zoom TV. Zoom. This is Zoom TV. Zoom. No, it's just Zoom, isn't it?
Yeah, Zoom is the.
This is actually going to really add. This is going to add so much more punch to my story, because I was at a Zoom meeting with the people from my lab. Most of them are PhD students, and for most of it, the in joke was that I'm old. And I'm just like, even the PhD student in my lab, who's like only 2 years younger than me.
Those 2 years matters.
Yeah.
Well, from everything you've told me about PhD students, they age quicker than regular humans.
Yes.
Yeah. Science has ruined my life. I'm only 21 years old.
I know everything, and I feel pain every day, and I know how it's caused, and I can't stop it.
I have arthritis in my fingers from all the pipetting.
And I'm slowly going blind from all the TV screen, the laptop screens, and TV screens and screens. Is that to say from science? No, it's from the lockdown. Yeah, I'll probably end up getting carpal tunnel from the coding as well.
Yeah, coding, sure.
I'm hoping to analyze some metagenomic DNA from one of the projects I'm involved with. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. It's like, yeah, there's everything. I can't even say what it's about because it's a commercial project. So it's like. Yep, I get to do the metagenomics, but I can't say anything about it. I could put it on my CV. That's about it.
That's still very useful.
Yeah, that's why I prefer to stay in academia, because then I can talk about it all I want, and not have to worry about commercial issues. Well, unless I'm looking to get a patent on it. But
so that thing you're not supposed to talk about, what is it again?
Oh, it's a special cure. It's a special treatment to turn people into Wolverine.
Yay! Project Logan.
Weapon X. I think we covered everything. We haven't covered everything on viruses, but sure, I think there's so much we can go on before this just.
This just the sense in the two of us nerding out.
I've done a lot of learning today. Thank you very much.
Viruses are cool. Like they do a lot of weird things. Like, I mean. Like smallpox, the smallpox virus will stay inside your nerve cells and then be dormant, and then you get shingles when it reactivates. Like, that's just weird.
And rabies travels up your nerves.
Yeah.
It's your brain. In fact, that was actually an interesting story. I was told when I was doing my animal handling course that if I was ever confronted by a rabid animal, to aim to get bitten on the foot.
You cut off the foot.
It just gives you more time to get a vaccine. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, but it means that if you are in a situation where you don't have access to the vaccine, but have access to being able to amputate the foot, that will work.
Yep, that will work too.
So my takeaway from this,
have rabies vaccines, though, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So if you get coronavirus, you cut off your foot.
No.
Yes.
Rabies. Okay. So first I get rabies, then I cut off my foot, and then I'm cured from
5G.
Yeah.
Actually, rabies is really interesting because of how broad, like how many different species it can infect. Like, it can basically infect any mammal.
Yeah, it can infect bats.
It can. They just don't get sick.
Yeah, because bats can get viruses, but they don't really get sick from them.
Yeah, their immune system is super weird.
Yeah, because it has to be because of their high metabolism, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, when their high metabolism means that they generate a lot of these called hydroxyl radicals. Basically, these it doesn't really matter too much about how the chemistry is made, but more basically means more metabolism, more hydroxy radicals. These hydroxy radicals damage DNA. So basically, more metabolism, more chances your DNA is getting damaged. And so this bat has evolved because of the fact that it's flying a lot. It's flying, takes a lot of energy. So they should be at a higher risk for cancer, but they've evolved a way that their DNA checking mechanisms are very, very good and very, very quick. So they can detect DNA damage fairly quickly and respond. Now, usually that also means that if you get DNA damage, it really alerts the immune system, because that also is a signal that you have a viral infection. Mm-hmm. So bats don't have that inflammation response to DNA damage.
In the same way.
So they don't really react to viruses the way we would.
If I remember correctly, they also are really good at producing certain interferons.
Mm-hmm. Interferon A alpha, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Which is involved in like the response against viruses, and they're super quick at getting that going. So they deal with the virus a lot quicker. But those two things, and probably also other things combined, means that they're really good at, like, they become reservoirs where they have the virus, but they're not really sick.
Yeah. The reason why we get sick from viruses is that it's not the virus it's not the virus that's causing it directly. It's our bodies reacting to the virus.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and in a lot of cases, overreacting to it.
Like the cytokine storm in COVID-19, which causes pneumonia and septic shock, or in Ebola, it causes the
hemorrhagic fever,
which is.
So you see,
it's fever where you bleed a lot, all over the place.
Like the film Outbreak, which I actually watched again last week. Believe it or not, after we watched it 2 weeks before. My mom was like, "Oh, there's Outbreak, let's watch it," and I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's throw it on."
Is there in the same way you're saying you can migrate, and you can take viruses to move them from certain states in the lab? Would you be able to take the likes of the antibodies that bats would have in use of treatment? Or is there would there be a practical application?
I mean, there is antibody treatments that are being worked on, but we can't take their immune systems of bats and put it into humans.
I'm
Like
thinking of this like, you know, like the Flintstones make the animals work for them. Like we could do this with the bats.
I mean, it would be a lot. We don't need bats for that. We can just use antibodies from people, or we can just put them into horses or mice or rabbits. That's how we get the antibodies that's used in lab. You get it. They're made by putting the thing you want antibodies against into animals, and then you harvest the antibodies from their blood.
Yeah. And
and if you want a lot of it, you then figure out what that antibody looks like, and you get cell cultures to make them.
Yep. You just basically take the cells that are producing the antibodies and just get them to grow them in culture. But you just basically merge them with a cancer cell, which reason why you merge them with a cancer cell is because those cells that you extract from the horse that are producing the antibodies will only live so long. But if you merge them with a cancer cell line, that cancer cell line is going to keep on going forever.
But then that's used as like vaccines.
No, it's used as a treatment. There are work being done on making antibody.
Antibodies, not vaccines.
Yeah, antibody treatments against COVID-19, or I should say against the SARS-CoV-2 virus. But all of those come from humans that have already had it and have had very high levels of antibodies, and antibodies that appear to have are really good at binding to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that means that those treatments don't give you immunity. It's more like
it's more like you're helping your immune system, because you're doing what the immune system would already be doing to fight the virus.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And then in a vaccine, it's just a bit of the virus itself, this heat killed with something to get the immune system going, like an aluminum assault.
You trick the immune system into thinking that it's the actual virus that's infecting it.
Yeah, I saw something on Facebook about explaining why you add in sort of adjuvants, these aluminum salts.
Yeah,
it's like if you want to get a reaction, the virus is like giving the immune system a pinprick, but giving a pinprick to somebody sitting down. But if you want to get a bigger reaction, you give them a kick up the hole with the aluminum salt. Get a very big reaction then. And the bigger the reaction, the more likely it is you'll get the helpers, and that the helper serves the memory cells.
Yes.
Obviously, without going into giving you the full disease.
Yes.
And that means that you shouldn't need to go back for a booster or memory. It's going to last.
As long as those cells last, we don't know yet how long the immunity for this virus is gonna last, which is gonna matter a lot in how long it's gonna take to get rid of it, and also if we can get rid of it.
Oh, there's an easier way to get rid of it. Everybody just stay in and wash your hands for the time being. At least help that way.
Yeah, the problem is you can't, if the immunity against it is very short, that would mean you would have to keep doing that until we have a treatment. Otherwise, people are just gonna get it again.
Yeah.
So we could have like 2 weeks off every year, and we just get our boosters for the vaccine, and then we get 2 weeks off, and they're like, look, holiday for the whole planet.
Well, that requires us to actually make the have a vaccine.
And by the way, interesting fact: if you get measles, that's like getting a memory, for your immunity. So all those vaccines and diseases you came into contact with could very much be forgotten.
Yep.
So yeah, that's why
measles is weird in that regard, because it just destroys your immune system for years afterwards.
Yeah, so don't get get your measles shot.
Yeah, and if you already had it, but it's very long time ago, figure out if you need a booster. I think you need a. Is that on the one? I think you need a what that's recommended that you do get a booster for it after a certain amount of time.
I'm not too sure. I'm going to check anyway. I need to get a Hep A booster soon enough.
Well, yeah, if you're going to be working with it, so.
Well, working with waste. Well, yeah,
yeah, exactly.
So, yay, that's going to be fun. I don't like needles. I actually went into an interview after donating, the blood test they do for some pharmaceutical companies. They took a blood sample from me, and I ended up having a reaction. I have no idea why. It's my first time giving a blood sample, but then I was like, "Oh, just step outside there for a few minutes. Okay, you ready?" It's like I was ready as I'm gonna be. Didn't get the job.
Sweating profusely, screaming, "They're coming to get me!" There's lack of blood.
Oh yeah, well that's just my usual interview. I'm surprised I get a job anywhere, to be honest. I also cite natural news in it, I think. Yeah.
Those words shouldn't belong together.
Well, they do when you include blood loss and possible dehydration or bad reaction to blood loss. It wasn't even that much blood. But well, I think I'll be much better now. I wasn't as fit as I am now. I also had a massive donut just beforehand. I don't know why. Yeah, I went up with two other guys. Went up with me from DCU. We're all interviewing for the same job, and one of them was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get a coffee." Yeah, mate, let's go get a donut. I was the only one who actually ended up getting a donut, and I'm starting to see why.
One thing we haven't mentioned is how viruses can kind of have sex with each other. That if you you can have what's called reassortment, where you combine two different strains of viruses together into one. So that's how some of the what became known as the bird flu, for example, how that happened, because that was an avian influenza strain and a human influenza strain that got combined into a novel and highly pathogenic strain of human flu. So that's how we got the bird flu.
Yeah, and the same for was it the same for swine flu?
I think so. I'm not sure.
The original one, maybe, but then there was a lot of passing back and forth.
Yeah,
between pigs and animals. Yeah.
No, pigs and other animals.
Yeah, pigs and humans. Oh God.
Humans are animals too.
Not two creationists. This is what happens. I understand now how creationists think. They're just Friday bedhead.
They're technically intellectually quarantined because they don't go outside of their own thought bubble.
They're not allowed. They're not allowed in libraries.
Yeah, they're not because the libraries won't let them. It's that they already have one book.
It's a very good book.
It's one book in two parts. Like the same way they split up the Harry Potter movie, the last Harry Potter movie.
You're in trouble when Harry Potter has more scientific validity than a very, very good book.
Yeah, it's and it's better morals at times. Don't be racist.
Hide your Horcrux is better.
Yeah. Don't choose highly sought after objects to hide pieces of your soul in.
Yeah, finally. Yeah, don't spread them out all over the place. Put them in and then lock them in a big backward somewhere.
Or even better, just don't store them in the one countryside that a couple of teenagers can travel in the space of a year by backpacking.
Space. You put them on a rocket and send them into space.
Is that what Star Trek Voyager was about?
I don't know. I've been told not to. By being a part of this podcast, I found out what Star Trek episodes 2 and 2 not watch. That and Doctor Who.
That's a Dr. World Health Organization. Yeah, I know that one.
I was waiting for it as well as soon as they said it. Doctor Who.
So looking over the Wikipedia page for viruses, just to look for things to talk about. I didn't know this. So the smallest virus is single-stranded DNA circoviruses, and they're super small. Their DNA only codes for 2 proteins, and they have a genome size of just 2 kilobases. That is not a lot.
Oh, they're so cute.
I'm surprised they're able to function with just 2 proteins.
Yeah, obviously wants to replicate the DNA.
Let's see.
The ones has to be for the protein coat.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, one is the one the one is the replication and one is the capsid protein. And they're on opposite directions of the DNA.
Oh, so you read the DNA one way, you get one protein. You read
Yes.
the other. That's like reading a book one way, and you get one story, and then you put it up to the mirror, and you get a completely different story.
Which isn't actually that uncommon in viruses. They do often have a lot of overlap because the bigger your genetic material gets, the more unstable it becomes, and because they don't have those good proofreading mechanisms, you often end up it's a good idea to compact your genetic material as much as possible. You also see that a lot.
As well, isn't it?
What?
The SARS-CoV-2 that has a fringe. It has RNA. It could be read in 2 different reading frames. If you frame shifted by one.
I know. It has one big. It's unsegmented, and it the first thing that happens is that it codes for a protease that then cuts the RNA up to multiple messenger RNAs for all the different genes.
Oh, okay.
That protease is one of the drug targets that's being investigated.
All I got out of that was the bigger it is, the more chaos it causes.
Actually, a lot of RNA viruses, viruses that have their genetic material stored as RNA, will do it will have more than one strand. They're called segmented. We say that they're segmented, but it's kind of like they have chromosomes. Just because RNA is more unstable than DNA, so having it split out on multiple makes them slightly more stable. And some of them don't even need all of their quote-unquote chromosomes, all of those segments, to be infectious and function. So they can be packaged up when the cell that they infected makes a new one. Makes new viruses. They can be packaged up with not all of genetic material required and still function, which is super weird. That's you not having just not having like a chromosome and still being perfectly functional. That's some of the weird shit you can get when you go into like really like viruses are quite simple compared to us.
And the simpler you are, it's the more adaptable you are.
To some extent.
Yeah.
Or at least the more the weirdest shit you can do usually.
That explains a lot about my childhood. The weirder shit I can do, the more chaos I cause. Quick, go back to being DNA. Be fucking normal. Pull yourself fucking together, literally.
We need more DNA. I don't know. My mind is literally just that kind of way. After I shouldn't have gone running.
Oh,
that's what you get for exercising. Ha!
And my GA team also decided yesterday. You know what? Let's do a group session. That was fun.
2 years apart.
Zoom training session. All you can hear on my phone was just 20 sweaty men breathing into the microphone. Heavily.
That's the worst idea ever.
People walking by, because I was in a lane, so people were walking by the lane, and all they can see me is just doing press ups, and in the background, all I can hear is. It was like, I wonder, did they think I was doing some sort of weird show for them?
You Instagram influencers sicken me.
At least I'm not selling bath water yet. I might have to if my contract gets held up any longer. That's another thing. Changes that we're going to see in the coming year. People doing this a lot more often, and not touching their face.
We're going to bring back the dab,
and hopefully, that is gonna because that's also gonna help with other diseases. Like I have a feeling that the influenza, next year's influenza is gonna be less worse, just because it's like people are still going to be washing their hands more often, and people are still going to be nervous and still maybe build up the habits. Also because then we might actually still need it at that point. There was a paper that came out on the 14th in Science, I think it was, which basically suggests that like unless the immunity to this is like really good, we might have to do some form of social distancing until like for the next 2 years to not get another pandemic.
Oh, thank God! I hate people.
So hopefully we get a vaccine soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Some kind of treatment.
I kind of like to go out to the. I'd like to go out to the pub. I miss pouring a pint. I miss seeing a pint of Guinness poured, and a packet of Tato crisps. Oh God!
I still have plenty of crisps and plenty of alcohol, but it does really help when a professional does it. Kind of like haircuts.
Yeah, or beard trims. I just couldn't do it right.
and providing advice about vaccines and general medicine, health, and science.
Yeah, all those things are best left to the professionals. I'd kill though. I'd also kill to get the football back up and running this year. Like we can't. There's only so many times I can go back and watch 2019 All-Ireland football final replay. And that surprisingly is a limit I have not reached yet.
Huh.
Or any time Dublin win.
Okay, looking through this, one of the one of those like circovira, the really really small viruses.
Yeah.
One of the genera, I'm not sure, is called cytoviruses, and the viruses in this genus have been isolated from dragonflies, as well as chickens, goats, sheep, and other farm animals.
That particular genera.
Yeah, so it's both dragonflies and a lot of farm animals. I'm not sure if it's the same species, but it's still.
I'd imagine it's the same. I think there'd be different species for different.
They have to be, but yeah, they are. They are, but it's just interesting that it's like dragonflies, and chickens.
Yeah, that's just weird. The viruses don't have to share common ancestry, similar to what we'd have. I think I don't know. It's just,
like they can have like really different host species.
Because that crossover, I'd imagine, or at least part of it.
I don't know. There isn't a lot of information on it. I just noticed it and I thought it was like kind of neat.
And Turtle, I don't think we will learn anything from this pandemic. Never underestimate the power of stupidity.
That is sadly probably true, but at least some portion of the population will probably
remember. The immunity may be long lasting, but so does our actual social memory. If that makes sense.
Or cultural immunity.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So we only had swine flu back 100 years. Yeah, about 100 years.
No. That was avian.
Spanish flu.
Yeah, Spanish flu, which was an avian.
Yeah. The Spanish flu back in 1918. That was only 100 years ago, and we completely just seem to not learn any lessons from that.
Well, we did, but then we sort of forgot. Of course, it's called like, I mean, I understand why people go back to that one, but like really the latest big pandemic was HIV, which is still ongoing.
It's now
HIV was started in the 80s. It's relatively curable now, or at least livable.
It is, but it's like, I mean, from a pandemic perspective, it's still there. Obviously, like we've like now made it so you can live, if you have access to the medication, you can live with it for the rest of your life as normal. But that like it's like obviously obviously the H1N1 in like 100 years ago is more applicable to the current situation because it spread in much the same way. But it's still interesting to me that we kind of skip over the fact that we had a huge epidemic during the 80s.
It's gone from epidemic to there's a particular term for it. Endemic, that's it.
Yes. Which is basically just, it's here now.
It's just it's just spread. It's at a certain level.
Yeah, an epidemic it's a question of like how quickly the numbers of cases is evolving. If I remember correctly.
So in terms of the current virus, we're still at the level. We're still at pandemic level, or
well, pandemic is just a measure of how like epidemic is like if it's in like a couple of countries, it's an epidemic. If it's like in the entire world, it's a pandemic.
Yeah. So it's just different levels of
epidemic.
Spread. Yeah. So a pandemic would be in different continents. Epidemic would be be a rising case per population. And then endemic is just a constant level where it's there, but it's neither going up or down. It's just a flat rate.
Mm-hmm.
What about one single person on an isolated island having a cold?
then how? Yeah, that's actually true. There is no hard and fast definition of pandemic. It's sort of, it's basically when the WHO says it is.
Grand bunch of lads.
But the one person with a cold on an island, they would have had to gotten the cold
from somewhere.
Yeah.
From someone.
Mm-hmm.
Which it could also be a coronavirus or a rhinovirus.
Yes.
Most likely a rhinovirus.
Yes.
And for people who are listening or watching who don't know what a rhinovirus, I'm not saying that's like me or anything, but you might want to explain.
It's the kind of virus that most often causes most forms of cold. Yeah. It literally means nose virus.
Nah, nose virus.
That's what rhino means. Yeah. So when we call rhinoceroses rhinos, we literally call them noses.
Nah, nose.
And Brian would also enjoy this particular fact. Do you know what the scientific term for a runny nose is?
No.
Rhinorrhea.
Yeah.
So I thought that would work.
It's a good word. The same way that diabetes is literally a reference to the fact that you have to pee a lot. And the actual name for diabetes, like the diabetes we usually talk about, diabetes mellitus, which literally means that like mellitus is like honey because the pee is sweet. That's how you used to test for it. You would taste the pee.
I was just about to ask.
That was how it was diagnosed.
Oh God,
I know there are a few people who that is their kink. So I mean, at least they're doing something for science.
Yeah, we don't kink shame here.
Like you're in a group of enthusiasts, and you go, "Ooh, that's a bit sweet. You might want to get checked."
Yeah, literally.
Pervert saving the world. Good guys. Well done.
Yeah. Well, there's some weird ass scientific names. I'm sure a lot of. I'm not sure if there's any other viruses, other than the rhinoviruses that have weird names. I can't think of any of them like off the top of my head. They're all pretty unmemorable.
Unremarkable. Yeah, literally. Like, case for example, you're trying to think of.
Yeah.
Think of them, like adenoviruses, as well.
Well, yeah, but but they're not like the names doesn't really
mean anything. Or
they do mean things, but like there's none of them that like mean something like particularly funny.
Yeah. No, that's all been saved for the molecular biologists with their sonic hedgehog and their.
Well, that's because of all the fruit fly. That was hard to say. The geneticists. That's where a lot of those weird ass names come from.
Yeah, I was just delighted when I was in that cardiovascular lab, and the first thing was like, oh yeah, we're looking at the sonic hedgehog pathway for arteriosclerosis. I was like, I'm sorry, which pathway? As I said, drinking from my sonic mug.
The best, still hard wise, the best named gene and protein is still Tin Man, because if you move it, you don't get no heart or underdeveloped heart like the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz.
I have to say, I still maintain that the natural killer cell is the best named cell.
Yes.
In the entire.
Yes.
Did you see Cells at Work, by the way?
No, I've heard about it, but I haven't watched it.
It's definitely worth a watch on Crunchyroll, or if you can get the dubbed version, whichever you prefer. It's just fantastic. Like, it's a fantastic series, but it's also it's like so much pathobiology in it. like they go through like the natural killer cells, the cytotoxic kills, the cytotoxic cell T cells, the T helper cells, the neutrophils. The macrophage for some reason is made with a mallet. Obviously, the red blood cells.
That would have made it a big fat bloke that eats the things, since that's literally what that name means, big eater.
Yeah, I think they went with the fact that it also cleans up the body. You know.
Okay, that makes sense.
And also because it's an anime, of course, there also has to be won't they love romance between a red blood cell and a neutrophil.
Well, that's not gonna last, considering how long red blood cells live. Also, red blood cells
160 days.
Also, red blood cells don't have a nucleus. Isn't that kind of like dating someone who's brain dead?
Well, she does get lost a lot, but I wouldn't call her brain dead. No, apparently that is symbolized by the immature red blood cells or erythrocytes.
The erythrocytes are the
mature form. Erythroblasts. There we go. I lost the word there. Erythroblasts using their neutrophils. They wear caps, and on their caps they have like a kind of like a cotton ball. I'm not too sure what you call. I don't know hats. But it's like when they become erythrocytes, they lose their nucleus by losing that little ball on their cap.
That's kind of cute. I think I will have to watch that show.
It's literally little bits of pieces, like little fun facts like that just get thrown in to the story. They even have Staphylococcus in it, which is like my favorite microorganism ever. So. or it used to be.
Used to be? What is it now then?
Porphyromonas gingivalis, because I can say its name. It's a gum disease it's the bacteria that causes gum disease, and it's linked with heart disease.
Gingivitis, that makes sense.
Yeah. The reason why I love it now is because I had to, because I'm trying to get funding for a project on it. So I've had a master's student.
That it's your favorite one.
Yeah, well, it helps if you actually love the bacteria. Or at least.
Yeah, you get like, it's kind of weird. You get a weird appreciation for the thing you study, even if it's something that causes disease. Like I have a weird appreciation for cancer cells just from having worked with them. Like, I'm frankly impressed. Some of them are frankly impressed that they survive. Like, how the fuck are you alive? Your genome looks like it's been through a blender, and then someone tried to glue it back together.
So it's basically like Mr. Bean going around in the nucleus.
Yes.
It's like this particular one, I have no idea how I'm able to grow it, because like it's just tricky. It's tricky enough to grow. Like we found it tricky enough to grow at the start, but now that we got it working, it's just but it smells so bad.
Oh, I can imagine.
Like we grow it in anaerobic jars, which are pretty much just an airtight jar, so no air can escape, no air can get in, but that also means no air can escape. So so that means over the course of 3 days, all the bad stuff gets collected in the jar. So can you imagine if somebody with halitosis, bad breath, was breathing into a jar that just continually for 3 days, and then you come along and you open that jar? Like I did it the first time I actually got a culture to grow. I was so excited, and I didn't really know how much it was open, how bad it would be. I opened up the jar for a brief second, got a whiff of it, closed it, went straight to the fume hood, where I opened it again, and then at that same time, the person whose lab I was using to grow it up walked in on the other side of the lab, just took one sniff and just said, "You got the culture growing, didn't you?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, how did you guess?" It's like, "I could smell it from here." I was like, And then it was bad enough when I was growing like 5 mil. I wasn't growing. I was only growing up the cultures at this stage. But then we got a master student in because I had my own project to look after as well. And she was growing it up 5 mils at a time. And since it's an oral bacteria, like she found this gross, like really gross. Then I came along and it was like, yeah, we're not getting enough of the toxin that we're looking at. So we're going to go from 5 mils. Apparently, we need to grow like bigger cultures. So we went from 5 to 100 mils.
Sweet Jesus. More smell. If it wasn't bad enough already.
And yeah, it was a nightmare just to work right and to keep it sterile because you had to filter it, centrifuge. You had to centrifuge it to remove all the cells first. Then you had to filter it, but then the filters we have got clogged right away because the centrifugation, they don't really pet it too easy. At the centrifuge, we were at this for max force for ages, and then the filters still were being clogged up. So like there was that times where you're just kind of like, it was a nightmare. And then we had to get a vacuum filter.
Oh.
And it just delayed the time. There was just delayed the amount of time we had to have this out. And then at this time I had an Erasmus student who was doing all the isolation for me. And I just handed him, like at the end of the week, he just said it was a hard separation. It was like, just take the fucking thing. Literally, like washing my hands. I could still, like, no matter how well I washed my hands, I could always still get it. Like I was obviously wearing gloves and all that, but even still washing my hands and all that, I could still smell it. But I wasn't too sure if that's just, trick of the mind. Or
I had the same thing with the culture medium we used to. I grew E. coli in to get my my plasmids. Used to like brew them on that. I can still smell that. It smells like, it doesn't smell horrible. It's just a very weird characteristic smell.
I know that one. Like there's I used to teach 4th-year brewing.
Also,
labs.
it looks like really, really bad morning piss.
Oh, I know the one.
Yeah.
Dehydrated. Yeah, no. I used to do the brewing labs for the 4th years, and they used to say, "Oh, this doesn't smell right," or they go by the yeast lab and say, "I don't like the smell of yeast," and I'm just like, "Are you kidding me? I love the smell of yeast. I love the smell of yeast and beer, not that yeast." I know what you're thinking. Absolute dirt birds.
I mean, you can brew it. You can brew yeast. Brew things with any yeast, basically.
Yeah, no, not with that yeast.
No, yeah, you can. There are people who've done it. There are people who've made bread and stuff with vaginal yeast.
That's definitely somebody's kink.
I think it was meant to be like.
Hold on. Really, that's where you draw the line.
I think it was like
5 minutes ago.
I think it was like it was meant to be like a art statement, something.
What is it? I'm a prick.
I don't know. I just know that someone did it.
They were so concerned about doing it, they didn't think that they should be doing it. Science gone too far.
Yeah, God creates dinosaurs. God kills dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates vaginal bread.
It's the circle.
Vaginal bread becomes the new God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a shortage of bread for quite recently. I wouldn't imagine people would question it. I'm more curious about.
I think just making sourdough in that case would be a lot easier. Than starting to get vaginal yeast. Also, we've so gone off topic from viruses.
welcome to Throwing It with Logic, where the show topic doesn't matter.
We have also been streaming for almost 3 hours now.
Yeah, probably should wrap it up soon.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yes, let's just wrap it up here before I don't know how we can go down further from vaginal meat bread, but
Nah.
right. So cheers guys for coming out. Thanks to Marty and Carl who had to skedaddle.
Yes.
No idea if we'll be back next week. I'd imagine we'll be back either next week or the week after, but we don't know what people's schedules are. So as we said the last time, we're just taking this as it goes. Hopefully, we won't be coming to the end of this current lockdown, and hopefully the only lockdown of 2020, and hopefully April or May has no other kick in the bollocks for us. Maybe this is the end of bad 2020.
Hopefully. And thanks to everyone in the chat who asked questions and stuff.
Yeah, thanks guys for your questions and your topics. It really helps the show progress and stay on course. Because when we at the helm, I drive very, very quickly off that ramp.
And I helped. Thanks for having us, lads. I really do appreciate it. It was great.
Cheers. Do you want to plug your own podcast?
It doesn't currently exist in this dimension, but who knows in the future. I don't know what's gonna exist first: the cure for Corona or my podcast actually having a regular upload schedule.
And let us know, and I can put it into the description of the video.
Yeah, will do. Thanks for having us, lads.
Cheers. Thanks for coming on. Thank you, Michael, as well, for coming on.
No problem.
For the show. Right. Cheers and stay safe, guys.
Yep.
And